Now, in many of my presentations, I also focus on the value of project management, and my opening quote in many cases is simply this: the value of project management is seen in every skyline. So it really doesn't matter where you are, what city you happen to belong to live in. What you have here is that in any city, there's projects going on all the time. And if you take a look around where you work, the building that you're in, the car that you drive, your iPad, your iPod, any of these things are all related to projects. So a good way to see project management in action is just to simply look at a skyline, because it took a project manager and a project team to actually make it happen. So those are important things to keep in mind and to help us to get other people to really understand what it means to be a project manager and to work on a project team. Now, there are some questions that we have to ask here, and I'm going to provide some thoughts here, but I would really like to get your opinion. So I'm going to invite you to make comments as we go through the program. And if you have something or a comment that you'd like to share, then I'll be looking at some of those comments and we'll try to share them as we go along, because I'd really like to get your perception about what you believe is happening with project management and where we are going. So to start with, where we are. Is it a profession or a methodology? Maybe some new ways of defining success, and also acceptance of project management as a business necessity. And then we're going to take a look at some trends that are going on, and I tried to pull up some very, very recent information. I was actually looking at some information this morning, and I'm going to share some of that with you, and then a little bit of a look at the future. So anyway, if we start out with the state of project management, first of all, it actually begins with you, and it begins with what you believe project management is about. And I say it's a state of mind. There is purpose. We have things that we have to accomplish. It requires leadership. We need to focus on becoming stronger and stronger leaders. If you are not a passionate project manager, I think that you're going to struggle a little bit. I think that the people who are most successful in project management are those people who really demonstrate a passion for it. I was a speaker at the NYU IIL Joint Summit just 2 days ago in New York City, and there were about maybe 180 people in that audience, and I can tell you that every one of them in there was extremely passionate about being a project manager and about their career in project management. We also have to have a set of values, and the one value that I think that we really should be focusing on happens to be our personal integrity, ethics, telling the truth, being transparent. That's our most important asset, is our own integrity. We need to protect that, and we do need to understand how our values and the values of our organizations can actually impact the implementation of a project. As a project manager, whatever project you happen to be working on, you should be thinking about the fact that you're making a difference. You are changing something, you're moving something forward, you're making something better, you're solving a problem, but you're really making a difference. You need to have pride in the work that you do. You need to have pride in your team. And again, that kind of gets back to what I talked about before about seeking excellence all of the time. So let's make sure that, and by the way, value and values, two different things. Okay, values are those things that we believe to be very, very important to us. But value is, are we adding value in terms of benefit to our organizations and to our clients, to our customers, and our other stakeholders. Now, there is a debate going on about project management as to whether or not it is a profession or just simply a methodology. Are we actually really, truly achieving value through project management? Is a certification necessary, like a PMP certification or an IPMA certification? Does project management have a strategic impact? These are things that are continuously being discussed. If you're a member of LinkedIn, you will see that there are quite a few discussions about the value of the PMP, project management in general, discussions about what we call traditional project management and new forms of project management. So there are a lot of things that are going on within the community. Now, my attempt here is to kind of lean us towards the fact that project management itself is really a methodology. It's really kind of how we do things. But most of you that are on this webinar are professional project managers or aspire to be professional project managers. So I think that we do have a profession where we have project managers who have the right education and training and purpose to get the job done. So if you look at the definition of a methodology here, you see a methodology, body of methods, rules, postulates employed by a discipline, a particular procedure or set of procedures. Okay, I have to adjust my screen so that I can actually read my slides here. Okay, a disciplined group of individuals who adhere to high ethical standards and uphold themselves to and are accepted by the public as possessing special knowledge and skills in a widely recognized, organized body of learning derived from education and training at a high level, and who are prepared to exercise this knowledge and these skills in the interest of others. That sounds pretty much what we do as project managers. We do have a body of knowledge, widely recognized, special knowledge, and so on. And then we have professional, highly educated, mostly salaried workers who enjoy considerable work autonomy, a comfortable salary, and are commonly engaged in creative and intellectually challenging work. A person having impressive competence in a particular activity. If you think about this combination of definitions, then I would say that we as project managers, you, the people that are getting these projects done, are professionals. So I'm going to suggest that we do have a profession known as project management. Now, the professional project manager uses lots of different tools and techniques, and there are quite a few available. If you're a member of the Project Management Institute, there are a number of standards out there. We have the PMBOK guide. There's program management standard, a portfolio management standard. We have risk. We have work breakdown, structure, and scheduling. Some of you out there are probably using Prince 2. Agile and Scrum are definitely gaining in interest year after year after year. There is a lot of discussion about how what we call traditional project management will somehow in the future combine with many of the Agile concepts. I found something interesting called P2M that was basically created in Japan, and I have a slide that I'd like to show you about that, which I really think is kind of an interesting way to show this combination of elements that we call project management. We have the Organizational Project Management Maturity Model, OPM 3, to assess project management maturity. And what we do is we have project managers that are using many different tools and methodologies to achieve project success. Now, this is kind of an interesting thing here, Japan's P2M. Not quite the same as the PMBOK guide, but if you look at the project management areas, it gives us something to think about here in terms of the way they're describing it. We have some alignment with the PMBOK, but it is a little bit different. We have project strategy management, finance management, which would be similar to cost management, systems management, which I believe is more connected to integration management, organization management, and that might have something to do with the organizational structure and human resources in the PMBOK. Target management, which would be associated with schedules and budgets and so on. You see risk, information, project relationship management, which is something that all of us project managers should continuously work on to develop relationships with the stakeholders, because in most cases the project manager is really not the owner of the resources that are being used on the project. They have to work with other organizations to obtain those resources, so relationship management is key, relationship with clients, suppliers, vendors, and so on. So this kind of structured a little bit different than PMI's PMBOK, but you can see that the emphasis is in these areas that all kind of relate to how we manage a business. Now, I have some information about certification, and I've been trying to obtain the latest information. I have some information that's just recently came out, but if we do a kind of a chronological look here, 2006 PwC survey, 80% of high-performing projects use a certified project manager. Now, I just want to emphasize one thing on that, and we're going to hear a little bit more about that later, but certified project manager, it's great to have that credential, but what we're really focusing heavily on today is competency, the ability to actually use the tools to assess situations, to make things happen. So certification is great, and I would like to believe that the majority of people who have achieved a certification in project management are also able to demonstrate their competency in the use of the many tools and techniques to get the project completed successfully. In 2008, PMI reported they're doing the Pulse of the Profession, which is basically an annual thing. Project managers without PMP certification result in lower percent of projects achieving time and cost targets. Between 2005 and 2009, the Standish report shows that CIOs looking for certification, project management certification, grew from 21% to 31%. And this is, I thought, was kind of an interesting statistic. In 2010, the CIO magazine, 8 of 13 ads for project manager positions required or preferred certification. So you see that there is interest in certification, but I think that there is really a lot more behind that than just the certification. This is a statistic that I just picked up this morning and decided to plug it in here, and I was looking at PMI statistics. If you look at the number of PMPs line, that's kind of an interesting thing. If you look at 11/30/11, 469, and then you see a drop, 467 in December, then it went up a little bit in January, and a little bit more in February. But if you look at June, it's dropped back down to 474,948. I don't know specifically the reason why we're seeing this kind of fluctuation. I think that the economy, the recession, things like that probably are playing into that. I think that many organizations are no longer paying for or subsidizing the recertification and certification of project managers. So that's something that we do have to watch. What is of interest, though, if you look at the PGMP, that's the Program Manager Certification, there are only 787 program management professionals worldwide. I'm not really sure I know a lot about that. I do know that that certification itself is a little bit more difficult to get than to attain the PMP certification, because there is some panel discussion required and some competency discussions associated with that. But that is kind of a curious thing that we don't see that many program managers, at least certified program managers. Now, to talk about certification, Steve Del Grasso is actually a director of IBM Project Management. He's also a PMI member of the PMI Board of Directors. It's interesting what he said. IBM's customers and prospects are demanding certified project managers because they understand the importance of strong project management discipline in delivering successful projects, and those customers associate certification with discipline. My mentor in project management for a long time focused heavily on professionalism, and that's something that I try to make sure that I communicate to anybody that I speak to about project management, whether it's in a classroom or a presentation, that we are professionals. The certification indicates a certain level of professionalism, and customers are expecting us to follow a certain professional discipline to get things done. There's a project manager discussion going on LinkedIn. It's called the Project Manager Network #1. They did an impromptu survey asking the question, is the PMP becoming more or less important? 2,771 voters voted. 57% said it was more important, and 43% said less important. That's kind of like if you look at the political polls today, we're not really that far off from each other. So we have to start asking questions about, well, why isn't it more important? What is it about the certification that people feel there's some doubt about? So I think we're slowly moving in the right direction, but I think that we need to focus on that 43% and ask ourselves, well, why isn't the certification important? What else do we have to do? I think part of it will eventually, if it hasn't already been brought out in general discussion, is competency. That the credentials don't necessarily prove competency. The project manager proves competency, and I think that that's going to be a challenge going forward. The experience that backs the credential is really what's key. So we want to make sure that we are consistent in our implementation of projects, and that we're showing that we do have the experience and the competency to use those tools. This is a kind of an interesting quote. Came from the WebUcator blog. A reason to consider certification. In today's economy, where you may be competing with dozens of or more qualified candidates, some companies will narrow the prospective pool using criteria like a certification just to be able to get down to a manageable number of prospects. So certification in itself could differentiate you from other candidates. So it is something to consider. So when you're thinking about the future and you're thinking about your role as a project manager, one of the things that I think you should do is think about your continued education. And to me, an additional certification should always be considered a plus, but I have to emphasize again the issue of competency. Now, as far as advancing the profession, the PMP, if you go on LinkedIn, there are multiple discussions about its value. It is a credential under assault. And I think that if you are a PMP, that part of your responsibility and the responsibility of the entire project management community is to maintain the integrity of project managers, to continue to develop our competency, to build our knowledge, to verify our ability and our credentials, and that we should continue to focus on higher and higher levels of credentials. I mentioned IPMA here, 4 levels of certification, which I think is a nice model, and each certification itself requires additional levels of experience, competency, and knowledge. I think PMI should look into that model, and maybe if you have a PMP certification, that there might be a need for the next level of PMP. And I don't know what that title would be, but something beyond the PMP level where you become a higher grade or something like that. So these are things that I think we need to think about. Dr. Harold Kurzner and I have worked together for a number of years, and we have constant discussions about what's going on in project management. And he has said recently in many of his presentations this past year, project management has evolved into more of a business process rather than just a project management process, understanding clients' business model as well as the company's own business model. So we really are using project management today to focus more on business and especially business value for the customer and also for our own company. He is now focused heavily in this area of project health checks, KPIs, and dashboards. And we need to really focus on making sure that we see these problems coming up early, have the appropriate dashboards, and be able to react quickly. One of the things that Kurzner recently said was that your dashboard should allow your executives to get a full reading of your project's actual health or status within 7 seconds. So we really need to look at this idea of a very quickly, easily understood dashboard to get the kind of information that the executives need to determine if they need to take any kind of an action. Now, I was looking for the latest information about the chaos report from the Standish group. So I'm just going to progress through a couple of things here that goes back to 1994, and then the latest information came out in 2011. But only 16% of IT software development projects were actually successful, according to the Standish group in 1994. And that success was generally based on being on time, within budget, and according to scope. 53% challenged. Challenged means that they did not meet all of the functionality requirements. They may have, the term was used, limped across the finish line. And 31% actually just completely failed. The analysis over the years indicated that estimating practices were, and today, remain a key factor. And I'd like to share with you just a quick note about estimating. It's kind of a very brief little story, and it kind of goes like this. First of all, estimates based on averages will be wrong on average, as proven by the statistician who drowned while crossing a river that was on average only 3 feet deep. Now, if you think about that, one of the challenges that we face, or actually two challenges, one is that most people estimate very optimistically, and secondly, most people will use an average for an estimate, both of which are kind of dangerous. So one of the things that you should talk about with your teams and your project managers is to really focus heavily on how are you estimating. You know, what are you shooting for? And a lot of people tell me, well, I'm looking for an accurate estimate. Well, if it was an accurate estimate, then it wouldn't be an estimate. So what we have to do is we have to determine what the appropriate ranges are for success, and really zero in on techniques that will help us to improve our estimating capability. Now, in 2009, according to the chaos report, 32% succeeded. Now, that's 2009. If I go back, 16% in 94, 32% 2009, 44% challenged, 24% failing. So we actually, I don't think we've improved as much as we could, at least in the IT field, according to the Standish report. And in the previous report, 2005, that 32% is down from 39%. So, you know, we have all these tools, we have techniques, we have certifications, we have all kinds of tools out there to help project managers succeed, and yet we're still showing, you know, interesting statistics like these. Okay, if you look at a graph between 1994 and 2009, we really haven't made as much progress as we should, comparing things like on time, within budget, according to specs. Now, of course, things have changed a lot now, and that the triple constraint, although it's not a thing of the past, is only part of how we measure success. But I think that these reports, this information indicates that there is still a lot of work for us to do in terms of managing projects. And if I go back to Kersner just for a minute, in his book, the Project Management, a Systems Approach to Project Management, a systems approach to planning, scheduling, and controlling, he made a quote that said 90% of project-related problems are caused by people, not by machines, tools, or equipment. So I think that we have all the tools that we need out there. We have lots of different types of software that help us manage things, but what we have is people that are not necessarily following process, not following change control and things like that, which is really where I think a lot of the problems lie. Other problems might lie in the fact that you are given some very, very challenging constraints in terms of time and budget by your executive management and your management team in general. And I think we're going to have to take a real hard look at what is realistic and what is not. 2010, 37% of IT projects were successful. 42% were challenged, 21% failed. So we're seeing improvement, but we really need to see significant gains. If we want project management to become a truly, truly strategic necessity we're going to have to do more in terms of improving these kinds of statistics. Now, this is something that I just picked up this morning. I thought it was very useful, so I put it in here. I know it's a lot of information to read, but I'll do it real quick. Iterative and agile approaches had statistically the same success rates, with 69% of iterative projects being successful and 25% challenged, whereas 67% of agile projects were considered successful and 27% challenged. This is from www.infoq.com. You can get the whole report there. The thing I thought here was traditional and ad hoc teams also statistically had the same levels of success, which in turn was statistically lower than those enjoyed by agile or iterative teams. That part right there is important. The traditional project management teams, their levels of success were lower than those that are following agile and iterative approaches. I thought that was kind of an interesting observation. I suggest that you go to www.infoq.com to read that entire article. Another thing that I picked out was they were looking at what success was, time and schedule. When they did the survey, 20% preferred to deliver on time according to schedule. 26% preferred to deliver the system when it's ready, and 51% said both were important. One of the things that I think, if you look at some of these this information on this particular slide here, is that you get the issue of competing demand. And if we go back to the triple constraint, our competing demands were on time, within budget, according to scope. And, you know, a kind of a joke that goes on around the project management discipline is, which two do you want? And you have to think about that. You know, if you had to give up something, what would you give up? Would you give up quality to meet a schedule? Would you give up cost to meet quality? Okay, these are the kinds of things that we need to talk about. So if your organization schedule as the most important item, then there's a good chance that you'll give up scope and quality to get there. That could have an impact on customer satisfaction. If you're an organization who believes that quality is the most important thing, then you're going to probably spend a little bit more money, and you're going to be okay if a project comes in late. If you're an organization where safety is #1 on your list of competing demands, then you're not going to deliver anything until it's absolutely positively safe for the user, which means that scope, not scope, but cost and time would become secondary to safety. So we have to take a look at what is important to you: return on investment, stakeholder value, quality, time, or schedule. And these are things that you really need to think about in the organizations that you work in. Now, we all know a lot about failure. I think that there's so many articles about why projects fail. There's so much information on the internet about what causes projects to fail. But let's focus more on success criteria. Okay, lessons learned are great. Asking ourselves, how can we get better? Doing root cause analysis, all of this is fine. But what we really want to do is focus on how do we improve our success rate. So I say on time, within budget, on scope, these are okay, but we have to focus on the client viewpoint of success. What is the client looking for in terms of value? And also look at value for your own organization. Sometimes the value of a project is not going to be achieved initially at the completion of the project. It might take a few years to see the true value of a project. So let's make sure that we focus on what the customers are expecting, what your end users are expecting. Make sure that your projects meet organizational goals in terms of your business objectives. But also, another element of success is team and employee satisfaction. You need to make sure, see, the question that I would ask would be, if your project was, if you had a happy customer, if your customer is completely satisfied with the project, but your entire team never want to work with you again, is that project success? So these are the kinds of things that we need to think about. It's more than the on time, within budget, according to scope. It's, did you deliver what was desired to be received by the intended recipient? That's really a critical part. producing what they really want builds your brand recognition, and what you'll have here is a strengthened customer relationship and a stronger employee loyalty. Now, here's some interesting things going forward, kind of looking at the future. New trends in business: flexibility, innovation, aesthetic flair, making things look interesting, making them look outstanding, or, I like to use the word awesome. I go an example would be if you're a person that's ever been to Disney World or Disneyland or any of those Disney, they have a certain knack for making people go, wow, look at this. They really want you to just feel excited about the way things look. I think that Apple does the same kinds of things. Look for that quality of aesthetic that really excites people. But we have to be cost effective. We need to look at long-term value, and this has been going on for a while, but it's even more so today, intense competition. So one of the things that I kind of stress is that your organization has to become more creative. You have to have innovative people to come up with new ways to solve problems. Okay, look for better ways of getting things done and making improvements, because creativity is becoming the new business currency. A few more things in connection with trends here. Do we need project management? Well, that may have been a question years ago, but it really is, how are we going to use project management? How will we use project management effectively to achieve strategic goals? How can project managers raise awareness about the value of project management? These are the things that you, as the professional project manager, definitely need to focus on. I have some information that goes back about a year. This is the U.S. News and World Report. 90% of executives surveyed claim that project management is either critical or somewhat important to their operations. A mere 37% of respondents felt their firms did at least a very good job of managing important projects, which means that we're giving good management in a lot of places just what we'll call lip service. We're really not giving it the kind of attention that it needs. This is where the project manager comes in to actually get people to pay attention and see exactly what a professional and competent project manager can do in your organization. Mark Langley says the root of this problem lies in some business schools. Programs don't have a strong focus on implementation and execution. The trend today is planning is still important, and make no mistake about it. We still have to plan things out. However, there's a greater emphasis today on execution, and I like to use the term flawless execution. That's what we're driving towards, better execution, which would lead to higher quality results. Employers tend to feel that the MBA graduates are strong at technical business and finance and so on, but we need leadership, strategic thinking, and project management skills. Project manager is being placed in an excellent position to be that a combination of things: strong leader, strategic thinker, good manager, business acumen, understanding customer needs. I mean, this is a prime opportunity for project managers. PMI study says that in the next 10 years, 1.2 million new project management jobs will be created every year. Okay, I'm hoping that that's true. We're starting to see some changes in there. I have some statistics on job trends that is showing some improvement in the opportunities for project managers. But one of the things I think you should keep in mind is that the skills that you have learned as a project manager and that you are learning are what we call life skills. You're going to be able to use them in any particular job field, and project management is therefore proving to any organization just how useful it is to have these qualified professional project managers. Your drivers of change, still things like recession. We supposedly have come out of the recession, but the indicators don't indicate what it says, what the government tells us. Consumer preferences change a lot. Energy costs are driving people crazy. We have new tax policies coming out all the time. I like this idea of reverse innovation. Reverse innovation is to take products and services that you have already have in place and find out how to do something different with them. Take them apart, beat them up a little bit, Find out what products can do, or what else even if they're intended to do one thing, can they do something else? Your non-traditional competitors of people who are not playing by your rules anymore, and they don't care your rules. They're going to enter your market, and they're going to start to take over your customers. So we've got to watch for new ways to deal with these competitors that are coming in with a whole new agenda. We certainly have to deal with risks. We have information flow continuously bombarding us, and we really definitely need to focus on a long-term growth strategy, especially in the area of sustainability. Okay, we have third world countries that are now rising. In fact, I'm not so sure that people are using that term third world anymore. We've got the tallest towers, tallest buildings, biggest cities, largest airports being built in various places. Nearly everything that was a process is now becoming a project. Back in 1999, Tom Peters did say that all future white-collar work will be project work, and that everyone will be some type of project manager. He said that back in 1999. Now, here are some job trends. Now, this comes from Indeed.com, and you might want to go there and take a look at it when you have time. This is from up to January of 11, and I've got some more statistics for 12. But you're going to see that the job trends for IT project manager, junior project manager, and project director are all moving up very slowly. We had a little bump up in between January 8 and January 9, and then it kind of leveled off again. We're starting to see some life coming back into it. A few more pictures to take a look at here. In January, getting to January of 2012, you're going to see that there was a little dip down there when it came to jobs. We had a serious problem somewhere between January of 2011 and May 2011, and then we kind of gained some ground back. But the trend is a very, very slight trend up with some real ups and downs. And I think that the lesson learned out of this would be that you have to continue to develop your skills, and you have to differentiate yourself from other people who are vying for the same project manager jobs. And that means continue to improve your own personal self-development, your skills and learning. This is for project manager. Again, you see that we saw the dip in the early part of 2011. It came back up, and now we've leveled off in January. And I'm trying to get statistics for later on this year, but they're kind of hard to come by. I think we'll probably see those statistics more towards the end of the year. This is for an IT project manager. If you look at all of these charts, they all look relatively the same in terms of their very slight trending upward. Okay, program manager took a serious dip back in January 2011, and again popped back up, but again leveling off in at least January of 2012. This particular chart here, I grabbed this morning. This is the latest that I could get, and you'll see that in 2012. The trend is significantly up. Now, this is a worldwide chart. This is not a U.S. chart. This is around the world. And I'm pretty sure that at this particular, this is recruit.net, that the caption on the bottom of this particular chart said that project manager jobs had risen 167% in the last 12 months. Now, I can't substantiate that. This is information that's available through recruit.net and also Indeed.com. So you may want to take a look at that if you're interested in the prospects for the future. Trends, 2011, 30% increase in project manager jobs in the last 5 years. Globalization, total solutions, and end-to-end project services. Faster development. Agile development is something that is just becoming stronger and stronger, and more having an impact in projects, even in traditional projects, in terms of types of agile meetings that people are conducting and the techniques used for those meetings. Talent development. We now have a need for people to manage project managers, a bigger need, so coaching and mentoring of project managers. This came from the job strategies of the 21st century, targeted towards college students. Strong communication skills, critical thinker and problem solver. You can see, if you look at this list, that a lot of these happen to be more, they're not technical skills so much as they are soft skills. Leadership, learn more about corporate experience, get to know the business acumen, be passionate, be enthusiastic, stay up to date with trends and so on. I think this is a pretty good set of advice whether you're a college student or you're a project manager that's actually practicing. This is something that I also found this morning, and last year, and I even reported this last year when I did the State of the Project Management last year, that last year the belief was that there was going to be a convergence of project management and business analyst role. However, this is being reversed, and if you look at the bottom, this comes from 7 Trends in Business Analysis and Project Management to watch for in 2012, Elizabeth and Richard Larson. What they are saying is that the BA has a very, very specific role, and that we really need to have a BA. So if you're a business analyst, the future actually is kind of looking a little bit bright for you, because at first it looked like a project manager BA convergence, but now it is we see separate value for each one of these, and we need to have business analysts ensure that the product is a solution that works and is one that the organization needs. That's a critical need in our organization. So a little bit reverse of the trend there, 2011 to 2012. Computer World 2012 forecast, I only picked out this one. The article is 9 hot IT skills for 2012 project management. 44% plan to hire for this skill in the next 12 months. So the last survey they did was in 2010. There's a lot of information in there to read, but basically what we're saying here is that we need project managers that have some technical knowledge, but can also plan and design and lead the actual project. So if you're in the IT world, brush up on your leadership and your planning skills along with your technical skills. More trends, greater emphasis on requirements management, definitely something that the BAs are interested in. More increased use of agile techniques. Using business intelligence, you hear a lot of talk about what we call metadata, large amounts of data that are being stored, that we have organizations being formed that are now going to analyze this metadata and drive it down to a level where it can actually be useful in the companies. And of course, we have accelerated planning, faster execution. We need status on demand now. The old way of doing status reports has changed quite a bit. Kind of an interesting situation that I experienced recently. I was teaching a fundamentals project management class to a large organization, and the average age of the people in this particular class was about 28 years old. And I was going through the idea of project scope statements and charter and work breakdown structure and things like that. And one of the folks said, and I took this to heart, he said, well, that sounds like real old school to me. And I think we really have to listen to what was just said there. That sounds like old school. We have been teaching the same type of project management technique for the last 20, 30, maybe 40 years. And things have changed drastically in terms of technology, in terms of people, in terms of attitudes. We had baby boomers, we have Generation X, Y, we're going to have Generation Z. We have new ways of doing things. People communicate in completely different ways. We're using social media now. There are tools for project managers called Teambox, Liquid Planner, and Sprinter, which are social media applications that project managers are using to communicate status on a real-time basis. So we need to move from what I guess was called old school project management to, what are the people that are coming into this field? What are they using now? What are their tools, techniques? How do they communicate? What's different? And start to get up to date. Social media, 20% more people using blogs for business than in 2010. 90% using social media tools to stay in touch. It's just telling us that we have to change the way we communicate, the way we do business. Where we're going forward. We have lots and lots of things on the horizon here. We have cities that are being built on smart infrastructure, this combination of communications technology and power systems. You know that Richard Branson, he's going to introduce space travel as a private venture, and people can go up there. I think you have to pay $1 million right now to go into space, but it's going to be something that people will be looking to do. Much more green building standards, more sustainability projects. Urban parks, I thought this was kind of an interesting thing. I have a picture of the New York City Highline Park. It's a major development, using existing space and finding something else to do with it. Smart cities, especially in the Asia-Pacific region, especially in South Korea, and I think Cisco is involved in the development of many smart cities. You have mega projects. In the March issue of PM Network, PMI listed, I think, the 20 large mega projects around the world. All of them were in the billions, 20, 30, 40 billion dollars. And unfortunately, crisis environments and disaster recovery are really becoming a major factor. Those of you that are interested in that particular field, you can get a certification in disaster recovery and business continuity. You can get a lot of information by going to the Disaster Recovery Journal. That's www.drj.com. It's another field, and it's closely related to what we know in project management as risk management. This is a picture of the New York City Highline Park. They took an old railroad system and built a beautiful park, which is extremely popular, right in the middle of New York City, and they're building up, I think, the final part of that in the next couple of years. Portfolio management is no longer a nice-to-have, it's an absolute necessity. We're looking at the 3 domains: manage supply and demand, prioritization of the right projects, and delivery, making sure that we are delivering not only in accordance with cost, risk, cost, and quality, but in value. I thought this was kind of interesting. McKinsey Global Institute 2011 study. By 2018, the U.S. will face a shortage of up to 1.5 million managers and analysts with the know-how to use the analysis of big data. That's that metadata that I was talking about. We need to find ways of using this data to drive that down to the day-to-day business level and put it to good use to improve how an organization is functioning. Professional development. If you get a chance, if you go online, you can Google this. ESI puts out every year the trends of project management, 2010, 11, and 12. They're usually written by Leroy Ward, okay? But this is really, really critical. Competency models will be core to managing professional development and promotions for project managers, okay? The idea of having the certification is great, but they are now, the trend, the emphasis is on competency. So take a look at information about that. Build your competency, continue to drive improvement in your skill areas. The internal certifications, there are many organizations, and I spoke at Con Edison in New York City yesterday, and they have an internal certification. IBM has an internal certification. Many organizations have that. So what we have here is PMPs and other certifications, but if you look at the last line on this slide, it says, to be sure, the PMP remains important, but it is now just one rung on the career ladder to get to the top. So certification to me is a good thing, but competency plus certification is the way to go. The right stuff, you have to have some technical ability, the TQ, the IQ, the intellectual quotient, and the emotional quotient. That's your successful project manager. And awesome people and great ideas mean amazing projects. So you, the project manager, need to show people that you are awesome, that you can do amazing things, and that you become the go-to person in your organization. There's still a lot of career opportunity out there. I'm not sure if these are the right titles. Junior project manager, professional project manager, senior global. But you know what? There is a pathway, and there are positions in many organizations that are that have a title of project executive, project director, director of project management, and things like that. We should all be aspiring to kind of move forward in our organizations to get to these levels, and then to coach and mentor other people who are aspiring to do the same in their careers. So, concluding, project managers have to become much more knowledgeable about business processes. There is a lot more interest today in PMOs, project management offices, but they have to be lean, be focused. They have to be absolutely positively value-adding and have to prove it all the time. Project portfolio management is now a big deal, and prioritization of projects, the appropriate use of resources, including people and money, are key. Clients are looking at value more than they are looking at time to completion or cost. So focus on that value part of the equation. And that executives must be visible and really truly invest in project management training and support, and show that support to the entire organization, because I think that it will really make a difference in terms of the success going forward. I say that project management is a profession. It is still growing. Make sure that you celebrate your successes. That's the way to keep the momentum going. Find ways to be creative about solving your problems. Promote innovation in your organizations. Become an outstanding leader. Find ways to fine-tune your leadership skills. Make sure that we shift our emphasis more to flawless execution. Make risk management an obsession. Make sure that we're balancing projects with leadership and process, not just management, but leadership. And also make sure that you are really developing your skills for the international environment. My view of the future would be kind of like a project manager sitting in a nice big office with a nice big waiting room and a number of people out there with a receptionist that says, "The project manager will see you now." Professional image, creativity, a source of expertise. Basically, in other words, what we're doing is let's make the project manager the go-to person in any organization. You have the skills, you have the knowledge, you have the ability to make a difference. So continue your professional development and growth always. And final questions, what can you do to encourage more collaboration between functional entities, improve the level of project management performance, and increase the value of project management within your organization? And how can we take the project management profession to higher levels of acceptance within our organizations? For those of you that are PMPs looking for the PDU information is up here, and I'm going to leave this up for a few minutes while we entertain if there are any questions. So, Kay, I know that you're monitoring and listening. Mm-hmm. Are there any questions regarding? Yeah.
Frank, we've had some interesting discussions and chats. I don't know if you've had the opportunity to see any of that, but there's been a conversation around if having a PMP certificate should give the credential holder the right to ask for more money. Some of the participants thought that it should, and some thought that it did not give them that right. So that was one topic. Another topic was the question around if PMI might be considering adding a credential above the PMP, something that's higher end, demonstrating more competence and experience. And one of our attendees, Robert Grease, has actually spoken to PMI GOC about that, and we were wondering about if you've had any conversations and opinions on that topic.
Okay, let me address a couple of things here. One is, as far as the PMP for more money, I knew if I could go back maybe 10 years ago, and most project managers, when they achieved their PMP, were actually given a raise by their organization. In fact, the organizations promoted project management, they promoted the PMP, and they actually raised the salary. In fact, when I worked at AT&T, when I got my PMP, I also got an additional increase in salary. The economy has kind of changed that a little bit, and so what we're looking at today is that the credential is showing an employer or a potential employer that you have a desire to move forward from an education and personal development perspective. But the credential today is not going to necessarily give you the leverage to ask for more money. What you're going to have to do is you're going to have to combine your credential with a high level of confidence in your ability and show that competence. And it's your results that will help to get you to that next level in terms of a raise or a promotion. So I don't think it's necessarily a good idea to just ask for a raise simply because you got the certification. I think you have to be ready to prove that you can get it, that you deserve it. As far as the next level of PMP, PMI has been discussing that for a few years. It is still kind of on the table. They're not really sure, what direction they're going to go. Some people thought that the PGMP was like the next step up from the PMP, but that doesn't seem to be actually getting a lot of traction. They are looking at the IPMA model, which has 4 different levels, and that model focuses. I think that the top 2 levels, it might be 3, but at least the top 2 in IPMA are focused more on competency, proving that you can actually do things. So I think that PMI is discussing it. I don't think that it has gelled into anything really significant yet, but that's something that PMPs might want to write to the board of directors and to PMI and professional development over there at PMI and suggest that we get that next credential going. Any other questions?
We do have some conversation going on this topic, as well as others offline. Do you want us to continue, or do you think that we could maybe move this over to our internationalpmday.org/webinars section, where we can post the slides as well as the recording of this session, and maybe continue on the conversation, both about the higher end PMP type of certification, as well as some of these other topics that are starting to come in?
Well, we could do a couple of things. One is I think that people could post information at the IPM Day website, www.internationalpmday.org, or if you have a specific question, I'd be happy to answer your question via email. If you send an email to saladispmp@msn.com, I can provide information or point you in the right direction. So that's my last name is Saladis, saladispmp@msn.com. If you have anything specific regarding what I just talked about, and also what I'm really interested in, if you could share, is that your own perspective on the state of project management. What are you living? What are you seeing in terms of day-to-day activities regarding project management? How is your organization viewing project management? Now, I'd like to say that yesterday, when I did speak to the Con Edison group in New York City, there were over 400 people there, and Frank LaRocca was the director of the group, and he was showing very, very specific, detailed information about how they are moving to a much more matured and disciplined project management environment, and that they have created an internal project management community of practice within Con Edison. So they're very, very serious about project management there. But I'd really be interested to hear about other organizations. What are you doing about project management? How are your executives promoting project management? What's changing? What can you share? These are the kinds of things that we need to know to get out to the rest of the world regarding where we're going as project managers.
Very good. Well, many people are wishing you a happy birthday, Frank.
Oh, thank you very much. One thing you could do for me for my birthday is go to you can go on Google or whatever, YouTube, and go and listen to the Project Manager Blues and pump up my rating a little bit. That would be great. Okay. I think that we're pretty much out of time here. Make sure that you consider your IPM Day plans. Consider an event. Consider saying thank you to project managers and project team members. If you go to the the IPM Day website, you can go to the International Project Management Day store. We've got some T-shirts and nice buttons and coffee cups and all kinds of things, and we're looking for new ideas, other ideas for products that we can offer to promote International Project Management Day and to give as gifts to project managers who are working so hard to make a difference in the organization. Make no mistake about it, project managers really truly make the difference in any organization. I'm going to promote myself for 1 second. I have a book that's being published as we speak. The name of the book is Positive Leadership in Project Management. It just came out, and I think you'll find it really interesting. And it's a combination of stories and ideas from lots of different experts and my perspective on project management. I'm also going to offer an ebook which we'll place on the International PM Day website, and that is I put together a book. And the only thing that's holding me up is the title, but I'm focusing on essential people skills for project managers. It's going to be it's about a 40-page book, and it's really condensed, but very useful information that can help you, master the techniques of conflict management and working with people and influencing and things like that. So visit the website, visit the store, say thanks to your project managers. If you have a suggestion for us for a speaker for one of these webinars, please share that information with us. And if there's any way that you can help us to get the word out about International Project Management Day to your associates and colleagues, we would really appreciate that. So again, I thank you very much. And I'm just going to put this PDU information back up there in case anybody didn't get it. And Kay, if there's any last questions or anything before we close out, I'd be happy to answer them.
Well, we do have a number of questions that are flying in, and so I'm going to repost some of these over to our website under the webinar section to continue the conversations there, because there's some very good ideas, as well as ideas for IPM Day, as well as ideas for improving the professionalism of project management. So good contributions. We thank everybody for participating, and continue to read the upcoming news briefs and the website for more information on upcoming events.
Okay, I'm also interested in feedback on this presentation, that the information was useful, that it's given you some things to think about. Again, share your thoughts. This is all about networking. It's about working together as a worldwide project management community, and there are just a lot of information that we can share with each other. I like to talk about PMI, project management war stories. Things that we've experienced, share with other people. So, please help us out, get us information, share your ideas, send an email to us, post it on the website, and let's keep the momentum going here so that we can actually really create a tremendous, fantastic future for the project management profession. And I thank you very much.